And the credit card fraud, do you regard that as an absolute one-off and aberration, or do you fantasize about robbing banks, plundering pension funds, that kind of thing?
No, I don't at all. I regard myself now as painfully honest, and actually I really dislike dishonesty, and I don't know, it was a strange phase of dishonesty, and I shudder to think of it. It's horrible because of what it does to others. It does upset people, and of course we all know as householders and car owners what it's like to be burgled or have one's car window broken. And I try extremely hard not to get too upset about it for two reasons. One, because I can sort of just about do the thought experiment to understand what it's like to be some kid who does these things. I don't expect a 15-year-old grown up on an estate to have a fully fledged bourgeois sense of property and meum and teum. Plus, I don't want to have that much of a sense of an investment of my identity in my property either. I don't want to get incredibly upset by the idea that I no longer have this object. Now, obviously, if I lose my phone later this afternoon or tomorrow or something, I'm going to be so angry about it because it's immensely inconvenient. But at least one should have it as an ideal not to get too upset about the loss of property.
When the film of your life is made, which you speculate at various points about this, but the big moment in the first act will be, and people will think it's been made up, but you write about this, is when your mother comes to see you in prison and she has a batch of the Times crossword.
Cut out the Times crossword,
and she pushes it under the grill. Pretty extraordinary moment, that.
It was extraordinarily touching. It said so much. My mother has always had enormous faith in me and always had great belief in me and in my future and in my capacity and so on. And I remember when I got thrown out of Uppingham and then thrown out of another school, and there was this college in King's Lynn, NORCAT it was called, Norfolk College of Arts and Technology. And she went along with them to talk about what course I was going to do, and she said, "And what about an Oxbridge scholarship paper or something?" And they just went, "I don't think that would be appropriate." My mother was outraged. "Yes, it would." I mean, really, I owe a great deal of my curiosity, I think, to her. Well, I always had it, and she always fed it. That's the thing. So even if so we're doing some simple chore, I would turn it into a quiz. And she had to ask me questions, poor woman, endlessly, and I would try and answer. And the crossword clue is quite a good symbol, in a strange way, of whatever qualities I do have as being a sum of my parents' qualities, because my parents between them can always do the Times crossword, and so I grew up watching them doing it together. And there's a kind of clue that my father would get, and there was a kind of clue that my mother would get. And when I started looking at these things, I found that I could do it on my own because I had that part of my father and that part of my mother, which meant that I could do it. But to her, it symbolized her faith in me, her belief in me, and that thing that I was the sum of her dearly beloved husband, and they are one of the great couples I've ever met, and so she saw me as that, I think, and so it had all that wonderful sense of unconditional love that only a mother can provide.